Good morning, everyone, and apologies that we are a minute or two late. That is my fault, the joys of tech on StreamYard, but I think we are live. So thank you for joining myself and John Cheek today. We're going to be chatting about LinkedIn for students and how to make brilliant university decisions. So to kick things off, I'm just going to stick up a ticker and just ask you all, put in the comments where you're joining us from today, or if you're watching on replay. Just want to make sure we're live and see if any comments come through. So if you are here, just let us know. Other than that, I'm going to kick off and ask John a quick question about what is Uni Taster Days and why did you start it almost a decade ago? So over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer, and hello, everyone. It's great to be part of this LinkedIn Live series that Jennifer's developed from scratch and be one of the guests and have so many people that booked on to watch. So hopefully we'll do your time justice. Uni Taster Days basically is a event site. So we support schools and students when it comes to booking and requesting details about university events. So that's kind of what we do. Our main user base is schools booking for school groups, and also, and I've got a Uni Taster Days pen in my hand, so live the brand, Jennifer, and also students looking for events directly. As far as a quick answer to why I started it, I've always previously worked at university. So I've worked at 3 unis, and I'm a massive advocate. Anyone that follows me on LinkedIn will know this, of university guidance. I just think this stuff is so important. It's so important that students find out brilliant information while at school about university, so they go on to make informed decisions. So back in 2012 or 2011, actually, when I first started working on it, I was working for a uni. I had a university event. I was trying to engage with a school, and it was a bit of a challenge. And likewise, my wife was then and still is now a teacher, bless her. I know how busy everyone is, and you're doing a cracking job for the teachers that are watching this. And she was trying to organise a university event, and she was struggling because she was not contacting the right departments, and that's where Uni Taster Days came from, Jennifer. I created Uni Taster Days as the middle ground. If a student wants a university event, if a school wants a university event, we're there. And likewise, if a university has fantastic opportunities for schools and students, we're there for them to find as well. So very much the middle ground, and I absolutely love my job and love supporting students with university guidance.
I think that's great that you saw a gap, because I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I remember being back in school and having no clue of which university to pick. And I had career guidance, but I ended up just picking the uni down the road. So it wasn't like a very informed decision. We didn't really get that taste of university life. So I think what you're doing is so important, because it is a confusing time when you're about to make that step and you're leaving school, and you want to make sure you're going to pick the right university for you and the right subjects for you and the right qualification and degree for you, because it does impact your life. So I think that's amazing what you're doing, and your wife has my pride and admiration being the teacher in these difficult times. I'm delighted to announce we are properly live this time, because I can see a few comments coming in. So hello, LinkedIn users. So from Chesterfield, you may not realize that you're showing up as LinkedIn user, and that's usually just in your settings, your visibility, you're probably set to anonymous. So I can also see Marina from Bournemouth and Simeon from Kenya. So thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. If anybody knows me, you'll know I'm a massive advocate of LinkedIn for students, and it can be a school student or a university student. And you may not be aware, but you can actually have a LinkedIn account from the age of 13. And initially when I saw that, I was a bit like, oh, should it be 16? Is 13 too young? But I do know some great younger students who are using it. One amazing lady that I know is Amna Habiba. She's recently turned 15. She joined last year when she was 14. And she is just amazing on LinkedIn. I will share her profile actually in the comments after this and in the event, so you can check her out. So if there was ever an excuse for a younger student to get on, she is doing amazing things. And I think using LinkedIn as a student will give you an advantage. It's great when you're leaving school, you can connect with your peers, your teachers. And again, if you're in a university, you'll have your alumni group, and you can help each other going forward with your careers and your stories. Now, I'd love to say I'm like Terry Wogan and I know all the questions off the top of my head. I don't. So I've got questions to ask John here today. So bear with me a sec. The next question I'm going to ask is, how have things changed for you and Uni Taster Days during the last year or so? And I know we first met about a year ago at the start of lockdown, and you started to do your own video shows and you invited me on. So how, obviously things are a lot more virtual. So how in general have things changed for you, John, over the last year?
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. And yeah, and it actually was over a year ago. So the background, how I know Jennifer, just as a little bit of context, is we at Uni Tasters, we run CPD events, and I spotted the great work that Jennifer was doing on LinkedIn, and thought that there's a lot of university practitioners that are going to be super interested in their LinkedIn profile. So Jennifer then kindly came to one of our CPD sessions, and we've been connected ever since. And the students that like had LinkedIn to, I didn't even mean to say LinkedIn, then linked to the stuff that you said about students and 15-year-old that was working. I think it's, LinkedIn is a great opportunity, and it's great to see you working with students and encouraging them to use it from 13, which is bonkers. As part of how things have changed, Jennifer, just to give you a bit of context, we back in March, April time when school closures started, at that time, as Uni Tasters really was an event site for school groups to visit Uni Tasters, and there pretty much wasn't any online events on the site. To give you a bit of context, then we had about 1,300 events listed on Uni Tasters, and had a chat to Pete and said to Pete, look, let's create an online events area and Pete's the colleague that works on the website, where schools and students can find online events. And the idea we had is just literally pulling, which probably sounds to you fairly simple, just pull out all the online events you've got in the main search and create an online events area. Makes perfect sense to a lot of people, but actually back then there was only 29 of 1,300 events, only 29 were online, offered by universities. There just wasn't a great deal out there that was online. The bonkers thing now, Jennifer, is online has in last year has gone mad. So just we've got over 1,000 just online events now listed on Uni Tasters from just 29 back, and universities are just offering such brilliant online provision. And then that's how things have changed in terms of the massive increase in online opportunities, whether that's live events like this, but also recordings that obviously if you're watching back the recording like this as well, in that kind of the technology has always been there, like Zoom, Teams and stuff. I'd imagine it's always been there. I know Zoom definitely has, because I used it before lockdown started, but no one really had a reason to use it. And now there's a massive reason for schools and students to be using online platforms, and online events, certainly won't be going away. And that's how things have changed massively over, for us, massively. It's kind of changed the way that we operate in huge ways over the last year.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I've been on Zoom and using it for my business probably for 3-4 years. But when I used to say to people, I can help you in person or on Zoom, and everyone was like, in person. But now I think people get the advantage of saving that commute, the time and the cost, being able to do it from the comfort of your home, that maybe in your leggings, your slippers below. I think people kind of get the advantage, whereas at the start it was a bit of a scary thing for a lot of people going online, and what are these platforms? I remember even my dad being slightly terrified when I suggested a group call, and now he sets up the Zoom links. And I've got a friend and her daughter, like, she started setting up Zoom links for her friends at 10. So yeah, the world has definitely changed, and I don't think online is going away. I think a lot of people see the advantage of it now, whereas before it might have been a bit daunting to just be showing up on video. So one of my questions is, do you think going forward, when it comes to university and training, do you think that there will be this continuation of online, or do you think there will be a blend of face-to-face, or how do you see the future going for students?
It's a brilliant question. Tricky one to kind of know. If I was, I'd probably see it as a blended approach. I think in-person events are brilliant. So I don't think online can replace in-person. I think for a student thinking about university, just going to a university and having a look at facilities is that they can get that to a degree virtually through like virtual tours and things, and virtual tours are great, but you can generally, at an open day, for example, go into a university if you're a student and get a grasp in probably 10 seconds if it's going to be a university you're going to consider or not. You just get a feel, I think, for it. So I think it's going to be blended. The one thing I would say, though, is now there is so much online resource available, whether there is recordings or live online opportunities, that it definitely won't. There's no way on this earth it'll go away. And also, schools are very au fait now with Zoom, with Teams, with Google Meet, and so are universities. So if you are a school, for example, in London, and you want to engage with a university in Newcastle, that, previously when it was all in-person events would be very challenging, because you've got, factor in travel time, travel costs. Now online, does create that opportunity for you. And it's so. And the other thing with online, and link, Jennifer, to what you were saying before about the Zoom meetings and stuff, online makes things so easy. Now we can have this conversation, based online. We've got internet that works, sound that works. The amount of time, yeah, oh God. But the amount of times my bread and butter before, pre-COVID, was meeting university colleagues and saying, look, Unisays is here. Is it of interest in terms of adding your events? The amount of times I'd drive 3 hours each way for these appointments, get to the campus, struggle to I would always generally go to the wrong coffee shop we'd be meeting. So then we're trying to work out where we are. When the meeting starts, internet connection is always really tricky on university campuses, because it's always like the student Wi-Fi, the stuff, and it's stuff like that. Like the online just gets around all that, and environmentally as well. You're not putting a massive footprint on, because you literally just turn on your computer and joining meetings. So I'm kind of digressing, sorry, about what we were talking about before, but in my opinion, it'll probably be a blend. But actually, we're just about to do some research with schools, looking at what the future is, and that's very hot off the press. But we did some research back 2 years ago, looking at national. We had like a representative sample of schools, looking at the university guidance they provide nationally, and we're just about to start something now, looking at online and kind of what the schools' feedback is about how online's been over the last year, in terms of the volume of opportunities that's out there, but also where they see the future, whether that's now until Christmas or now until next year. And we're just about to start that, so it's actually really, really timely, really topical. You ask that question, and we'll
yeah, please share. And if you're doing a survey or anything, share it in the event page, because there was about 200 people signed up, and share any links with me. I'll happily share. And again, when you have the results, I'm sure we'll all be really interested to find out what the future has in store for students. I just wanted to say as well, we've got loads of comments coming in. If anybody has any particular questions you want to ask John or even myself in relation to LinkedIn for Students, or going to university and making brilliant university decisions, please, I'm just going to showcase this comment from Marina. She said she's worked with 2 universities during the pandemic and both agree with you, John, a blended approach. So that's really interesting. If anybody's got any feedback as well, like Marina, don't be shy. Pip up in the comments. That's what it's all about. LinkedIn Lives, they are a great opportunity to learn, but also to network. You never know who you're going to meet on an event like this. So always have a look at the people commenting, and then go back to the event page and see who signed up, because you never know, you could end up collaborating with each other, working with each other, helping each other. Obviously, if you joined today, you've got an interest either in LinkedIn as a student, or you're going to university, or perhaps you've got a child who's going to university, or maybe you work for a school or a university. So you are like minds. So check each other out. It is a great opportunity to network. You would do this if you were all in a face-to-face room. You probably would be chatting in breaks. So don't be shy, because that's what LinkedIn is anyway. It's the largest professional network in the world. So don't be shy and reach out and connect with each other. So bear with me a sec. I'm just going to switch off this ticker. I'm trying to get my handle on the tech. So my next question for you is, what 3 things do you think every student should know about university? And I'm interested in this as well.
Wowzers. Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Really, another really interesting question. And also for any students that are watching this, given that the link is students can have accounts from 13 onwards, but also schools, right then, but must have some time in terms of how I'd answer it. So 3 things I'd say is, number 1, fees and finance, right? So university fees are the biggest barrier by far for students to go to university. Pretty much whichever bit of research you look at, it's generally the biggest barrier is linked to fees. And one of the challenges is some schools provide brilliant guidance in relation to how student repayments work, and some schools don't provide so much. If you're a school watching this and you want to encourage more students to consider university, that's not to say university is for everyone, because it's not. But if you want to encourage more students to consider university, my first tip is address the barrier, which is fees and finance. Get a university to come in. You can go on Unisays to find loads of student finance talks and talk about how student finance works, because there's very, very few students that are in year 12, year 13, year 11, year 10 that are going to know how repayments work. And whenever I speak to students and they say to me, look, I'm really worried about university because I've heard they're going to get a £50,000 student debt, etc. I say, yeah, in principle, I know. And you see that in programs as well. Like you see programs talking about student finance. You're going to go to university and get all this debt, which in principle, in a lot of ways, Jennifer, is true. Students go to university, they have to pay £9,250 a year. they've got maintenance loans on top of that. So they're going to borrow a lot of money. But the reality is, stats have shown most students won't pay it all back. They might pay some of it back, but about 77%, I think I read, won't pay the whole student loan balance. So when I'm speaking to students, I say, look at the balance, because that's going to determine if you're going to pay the whole lot back. But if I was them, I would be looking at repayments. And the reality is, if they go to uni, get a student loan, get a job, and at the moment, if they earn £30,000 a year, their student loan repayment is 20 quid a month. 20 quid a month if they get a job that they're paid £30,000 a year. And students just don't, and even £40,000 a year, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, it's about 100 quid a month that they'll be paying back. So whenever I work with like year 12s, we do exercises and say, look, if you were earning £30,000 a year, how much would your monthly repayment be, do you think? And they would often say anything from 100 to £1,000. And students just don't tend to understand it as much as they should. So sorry, this is a really long-winded answer, so I'm really sorry. I need to be more pushy. So firstly, the first of the three, I'd say, it's really important to be aware of how student finance works. Secondly, I'd say for pre-16 students, make sure you're aware of how option choices are going to influence university. So for example, if a student is picking A-level subjects and they want to be a physiotherapist in the uni in the future, if they want to be a physiotherapist, they need to go to uni and do physiotherapy. And to go to uni to do physiotherapy, generally you need to do biology as an A-level. But if they haven't picked biology, then they can't. So their choice is probably to have a look at a different career route or go and do their A-levels again. So be aware of how university feeds into option choices, I think would be really good. And then the third one, and I'd probably change this again if you ask me next week, but my third one is actually just to be, if students want to go to university, be aware of how important it is to consider the place as well as the course. And what I mean by that is, when students are picking unis, they often pick course first, which is in a lot of ways fine. If they wanted to be an entrepreneur in the future, they can study entrepreneurship at university, so course first. But loads of students actually live where they studied after they finish. So and the reason they do is because a lot of students will go to university, get a part-time job, and that part-time job becomes full-time when they finish, so they stay in that place. They might meet a long-term partner or a massive friendship group in that area, and you've got that in common. And I don't think enough students think about place enough. So if you love the sea, study it. You love being in the city, look at a city-based university. Because how many, I don't know if you'd agree with this, Jennifer, but how many times in your life would anyone say to you, look, you're going to go and do something for 3 years and you've got a blank canvas where you do it, and you can pick whichever location. And when I was picking unis, I left everything last minute, course, university, and I'm really happy with the choice I made. But at the same time, I wish I thought about it more and started my decision early. I might have picked the same, but I just think you just need to think about it. And place is just so important, because if you're going to, how many times in your life do you actually get to pick where you're going to live for 3 years or more? And so many students just study at a place and then start the course. I think, don't really this I like to be doing something else. I like to have access to different things. And so place. So just summarize my three, because I do have a habit of waffling on. Place, definitely consider the place. Definitely read up on student fees and finance. Really, really, really important. And then if it's pre-16s that are watching this, option choices, make sure that you're picking university-ready option choices. If you think you might want to go to uni in the future and know what you want to do afterwards.
Oh, that's great advice. And totally in relation to the place, I didn't really consider it. I ended up just going to the closest uni to me, and I actually commuted. So I felt like I was going to school. So it wasn't as much of a pleasurable experience as it could have been. So I definitely think place is important. And actually reminds me of my sister over in Ireland. She actually signed up during the last year of COVID to do a kind of a master's at Galway University just before COVID started. And she picked primarily on the place as opposed to the course. Yeah. And then she never got to go to Galway. So that was a bit of a shame at COVID. But now coming out of it, people will be able to enjoy the place. And I know I live in Devon, so the closest university to me is the University of Exeter. And I do know even some business owners who are, their late 20s, early 30s, and they actually came to the University of Exeter, like you said, studied, build up a friendship group. So they're from different parts of the country, but they're still here, at nearly 30, and they're working here. So it is a really good thing to spotlight. And again, picking the subjects as well. You might pick subjects that you think I'm going to get a good grade in this. But obviously, like you said, if you are going to study physio, you need to have biology and you don't want to have to repeat it and do it again. So that is really great advice. And of course, the payment price is everything. And I would never have imagined that the loan would only be about £20 if you were earning 30 grand. And I was thinking going to university, obviously, it's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in the future. I'm always surprised by the cost of university in the UK compared to Ireland. It's a lot more expensive over here. It's like 3 times more expensive. So yeah, I was quite in shock when I first learned from my husband how much it was. So definitely worth thinking about the price and then the repayment. Yeah, and being prepared to do that repayment for years. You know, if it's only a small amount, you won't really feel it. You know, think, what do you spend on silly things? You know, food, chocolate, Netflix, you know, you're paying 20 quid, 30 quid on rubbish anyway every month. So it's worth the investment. So that's really great advice. I'm just going to have a quick look at some of the comments.
Can I tell you a quick story just so that might make you smart? Like the one, I can always remember a conversation I had with a school once, and I did a session linked to student finance and said, look, if you earn X amount of money, your repayment's going to be this and the repayment's going to be that. And I always remember a conversation afterwards that a teacher said to me, she said, John, that's really, really useful session, really useful information, but I'm paying more than that. And if this is probably useful for parents and also teachers that are watching this, in 2012, and this is kind of information overload, so I'll try not to go overboard. But in 2012, university fees increased, which a lot of people are aware of. They used to be about £3,000, just over £3,000, then they went to £9,000.
Yeah.
What is less known is when the fees changed, the repayments changed as well. So if you went to university before 2012, your repayments are now going to be anything you earn over 19 grand. So if you're working and you went to university pre-2012, anything you earn is 9% of anything you earn over 19 grand. Now, students at the moment, the threshold is £27,295. So they need to earn £27,295. So after 2012, they need to earn £27,295, and then it's 9% of anything over that. Before that, it's about 19,009%. So what people aren't really aware of is when they hear about university fees, going near trebling, is actually repayments. If you went to university before 2012, your repayments are actually a lot higher than people that went to university after 2012. Yeah. So the example, so if you're earning 29 grand, your repayments off the top of my head are going to be about £60 a month if you went to university before 2012, and about 20 quid a month if you went afterwards. So the bonkers thing is, even though the actual amount you borrow is higher now, the repayments in loads of cases are actually lower, which I find bonkers. But no one really tells anyone about that. Like, you just hear university fees have increased so much, but repayments for a lot of students are actually lower from 2012 onwards than before.
No, that's really good information, because yeah, I paid when I was in university quite a while ago. I don't want to say how long ago, but it was about 3,000 a year, because when I came over and I was at 9,000, this is ridiculous. It's so much. There are loads of comments coming in, so I'm just going to quickly spotlight a question here from William. So he said, in your opinion, how much knowledge is there about apprenticeships? That's a great question, because obviously apprenticeships, you can work and get paid and get a degree. So how much knowledge do you think there is out there from schools?
William, brilliant question. It's progressing. We actually did a workshop last week that actually looked at degree apprenticeships completely, and knowledge is definitely increasing. Perhaps not enough. There's a lot of aspects of university guidance, whether it's degree apprenticeships, fees and finance, where I would love there to be more guidance for students. I think degree apprenticeships for students are a brilliant opportunity. Usually makes a degree 4-year program. They're working, and they're also, for anyone that doesn't know what one is, students will basically be having a job and doing a university course part-time. But the massive advantage of it is kind of twofold. A, they're going to be getting real work experience. B, they're going to get actually paid, actually threefold. And C, they haven't actually got university fees because it's funded. So in response to your question, William, information on it is getting out there, and they are, I know, very, very popular. But then now more universities offer them. But what an opportunity for students! If you're a student that is really keen on the world of work, what an opportunity! You can work for a period of time, you can earn money for a period of time, you can get experience for a period of time, and finish off with a degree as well. I'd imagine they're a lot of work, and they must be a lot of work to fit everything in. But for a very hard working student, how well will they be set up if they do one? So fingers crossed, word is going to increase with them, William. But it's definitely you hear about it more now than than last year. And I imagine next year we'll say you hear about it next year more than now as well.
Yeah, and I like a random previous job that I used to have actually was helping the University of Exeter with their apprenticeship program for JP Morgan, and I was actually doing telephone interviews. And all I will say is, if you are a student or if you have a child who is applying for apprenticeship, the competition is fierce. So I used to fail. I had certain criteria. There was 6 questions, and they had to get the 6 questions right in my idea to get to the next level. So it was such a shame. There were some great students, but they hadn't put the research in before the questionnaire. And like, for example, they had learned lots about the topics, the uni, but a basic question was, how much days will you be kind of doing training and studying, and give me a rough outline of the program, and they would fail on that. And you'd be thinking, my God, you've given me great examples of every other question, you've tick, 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 and I'm like, you don't even know the basics of the actual degree you're doing. So yeah, there is fierce competition. So out of every 50 people I was interviewing, like 5 were going to the next stage. You know what I mean? So it's the competition is fierce, because obviously you need to be that kind of caliber to qualify and to get in. And yeah, all I will say is, if you are a student, or you have kids going for them, get them to study up and get them to look at the syllabus, which is the basic thing of what they're going to be doing, and how the degree apprenticeship is split up, because that was the one that they failed a lot on, when I was thinking, oh no, and brilliant and everything else, but I couldn't put them past that stage. So yeah, all I can say is the apprenticeship is, it's fierce competition. So you have to really rock that interview, whether it is telephone or Zoom or whatever. Just put as much effort in as you will with any other interview, because yeah, it's not easy to get to the next stage. So I'm just going to quickly look at some other comments before we wrap up. This is another great comment from Marina, who says attending open days in person is so important. You get a feel for the place. And it's so true. You won't experience the same thing online. And obviously my sister picked that course in Galway because she loves Galway, but she never got to go. Alice is saying something similar, a good point about location. A place that you feel comfortable can make all the difference. And yeah, lovely Narjas, whose name I pronounced wrong yesterday in a live, and I've got it right today with the J, Narjas. She said the place thing is a great tip. It really is, because I never thought of that before. I would have just probably thought of the cost or the course. There's loads of great comments here. Annie's saying her daughter's 13 and already thinking about where she wants to go to uni. That's amazing. Okay, let's have a look. Rosie saying there's lots of knowledge from schools, but not employers. We still need more businesses to offer them. That's really true. We definitely need more knowledge. Okay, just one more I'm going to show from John. He says, thanks. Locally, he runs. Okay, that's great. 240 young people turning up to listen in. That's great, because I think a lot of students are more informed and they want to make the right decision, which is why I've got the lovely John on today. We had a whole list of questions, but I don't think we're going to get through them all. I'm just going to ask another one. There is one about common mistakes students make when thinking about uni, but it could be tied back to the last one, not picking the right place or the right subjects, or doing the finance. Okay, so this is one. Okay, practitioners and schools will also be watching this. Do you have any tips for growing their university links? And do you see any common knowledge gaps relating to university with them?
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Yes, so as far as building links, the one thing I'd say about schools, I mentioned right at the start, I'm married to a teacher. I know how busy schools are, and my big drive is trying to kind of put university guidance as close to the top of the priority order as possible. In terms of, so if you are thinking of building links, thank you very much on behalf of students, because I think it's so important. Almost, I think it's about 40 to 50% of students go to uni. So if you can build links with unis and get really, really useful sessions in, that's fantastic. I don't want to look like I'm plugging Uni Taste Days, but we're a free site for schools. So if you do want to build links, unitastedays.com will be a really handy website for you. And if you're ever struggling, you can always email me directly, which is just john at unitastedays.com, and I'll really be able to help you, because I live and breathe university kindness, and if I can support you to do more from your side and make your life easier, I'm really happy to do so. I think in terms of knowledge gaps in school, which is kind of the second part of the question, I'm sorry to keep on banging on about fees and finance, but fees and finance is definitely the one. Some schools probably don't realise, because they've got so much going on, that the fee system changed in 2012. A lot of practitioners will be aware university fees increased, but perhaps repayments, not that repayments actually, now students have to actually earn £27,295 until they start paying back their student loans. In my opinion, every student should be aware of that. There's no way, if you're making university decisions in year 12, in year 13, or even think about uni in year 11, you need to be aware that you don't pay for your student loans straight away. You pay once you earn over the threshold, which at the moment is 27,295, would be increasing next year probably to over 28. So in terms of knowledge gap, I think it goes back to fees and finance, and that could be rectified literally by a 15-minute session. It doesn't have to be half an hour, it doesn't have to be an hour, 15-minute session from someone that comes in and tells students how fees and finance works. So I'm conscious of time, there's loads of questions, so I'll rather than go over loads of different areas, I'd say fees and finance is the one every single time.
Yeah, and don't be shy to plug yourself. John is amazing. So definitely check him out, connect with him on LinkedIn, send him a message, look up Uni Tater Days. It's an amazing resource. I just want to, before we wrap up, I know we kind of started a bit late because of me and tech problems, but I just wanted to spotlight this from Rose. And she said she supports career leaders in schools and colleges and always encourages them to help students to have a LinkedIn profile before they leave school or college for networking purposes. And this is amazing. This is music to my ears, of course, because I think a lot of schools don't do this, and a lot of the teachers aren't on LinkedIn themselves. So they don't really understand how LinkedIn differentiates from, say, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. It's just social media to them, and it is such a worthwhile platform. I know that I've got quite a few students on, so I'm sorry I didn't get to say hi to you all. I'm just going to spotlight this amazing guy, Linus, sorry, who goes to the University of Exeter near me, and we met last year on Zoom, like everyone, during COVID. And Linus is a marketing student, and he is so good at networking. He has met so many people through LinkedIn, and he goes to so many business networking events around Devon. He's really well known. If you mention a student, everyone's like, it's a Linus. It's like, yes. So Linus is a great example of somebody rocking LinkedIn to build their network now while they're still at university and to create those opportunities. And I think more schools need to be aware of the potential, because you can line up, I've helped students get apprenticeships, internships, contracts, and students really stand out on LinkedIn because they have that fresh new approach to networking, and they can really make an impact, if they're reaching out directly to companies, chatting to HR directors, just building relationships. It's such a great place for students to stand out and just generate those kind of opportunities that they wouldn't normally get. So it's great to know that schools are encouraging this, because in the past they always have, they haven't really seen the value or just lumped it in the social media bracket. Whereas I always think of LinkedIn as a social network and a professional network. It works differently, and the people on LinkedIn are in a different business mindset, whether, it's services or products. You've got a lot of the key influencers and decision makers on LinkedIn, the CEOs, the C-suites, the HR directors, the unis are all on there with their all alumni groups as well. So it is a great platform. So I could go on, like John says, we could both go on all day chatting about this. We can always do a follow-up if there are loads of questions that we didn't get through to. I will have a look back at the comments later on, and I'm just going to implore John to have a look back too in case we missed anything, and we'll try to come back to all of them. But don't be afraid to reach out to us both on LinkedIn. Just tell us, reach out. I'm old school. I say personalize. Send a connection request from your desktop and just say, hi, watch the live with you today. I'd love to connect, because we will both accept you straight away. But if you don't send us a message, you might kind of be left queued up for a bit, because obviously we're going to focus on the people who are engaging with us and telling us clearly why they want to connect. So yeah, don't be shy, reach out to us. And if you've any other questions, put them in the event page as well, because we can always do a follow-up event. Sorry, lose my voice. Closer to the time. And sorry we didn't get a chance to say hello to everyone. I can see we've had students here from Morocco, India, Exeter, Philippines, Scotland, Gloucester. So it's been great that you've all joined us. And even if you're watching this on replay, don't be shy, put stuff in the comments and reach out to us, okay? Because I'll be sharing the replay everywhere. I will share it on my personal profile, on my company page, in my group, in the event page, on YouTube. I will also attach it to my profile under my videos. So there's no excuse. You can reach out to us at any stage. So thank you. This is nice. I'm just going to show this for us both. Okay. Well done to us both. So thank you. And thanks a million for everyone for joining us. And thanks a lot, John. You were like one of the first people I actually did a video with at the start of lockdown. And it's been great to be connected with you. I love everything you're doing. And I think it's so important, the work that you do. Students need to be more aware, schools need to be more aware, universities need to be more aware, parents need to be more aware, everybody needs to be more aware. So you're doing a really valuable thing. So any wrap up things you want to say, any final shout out, or do you want to plug your website again? And apologies, I should have created a ticker for it, but it's one of those days.
No, just to echo everything you said, Jennifer, thank you very much. And so great to see so many people I recognise the names of that's posted questions. Hello, Alice, and loads of others that have. So Rose that's just posted stuff. The one thing I'd say actually, Jennifer, which links to the stuff that you mentioned about LinkedIn is that if you are a school practitioner, if you are a student, there is so much opportunity out there when it comes to LinkedIn, and if you need any support in any way, Jennifer is absolutely wonderful. So I'll back that, compliments straight back to you. And definitely, schools, for example, you've got loads of unis on, you've got loads of employers on. If you're trying to increase your employer links and things, LinkedIn is so useful, and I couldn't recommend it highly enough for you. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn at all hours. And I mentioned about uni taste days. So if I can support you as a school or a parent or a student with any aspect of university, do use unitastedays.com, and if I can help, do feel free to email me directly, John at unitastedays.com. All our resources are free for schools. There's no commercial arm from your side. So if I can help, I'll be really happy to help in any way I can. But thank you for this opportunity, Jennifer. It's brilliant to be part of this LinkedIn Live, and really impressed with the technology and stuff, and great to
when it works, it's great. Thanks a million, everyone. So I'm going to love you and leave you and rock this up. Have a great day, and thanks again, John. You were fab. Okay, thank you.